Okay, we're on. Hey guys.
Hello, everybody. We are downstairs finally, and this is amazing. I really enjoyed the conversation with you guys in the last few days on the community dialogue. And today, I don't know if it's up yet, but we're gonna go into week 5, 6, 7, 8, part two of this course, which is gonna be pop rock coordination in duple field and pop rock coordination in triple field. Right. So I don't know if the videos are up yet, but that's going to be amazing. So let me address a couple of questions that we have here. Um,
Wait for everyone to join for just
okay,
1 second.
I'll keep reading here.
Um, okay. Also, I'm sorry you're getting random emails about things like new content that's being released. I don't know how to turn that off. I'm sorry. This is like the first time we've done this format, so just be patient and thank you for always let me know when something comes across your inbox because I don't get those for some reason. I should just sign up and anyway. So just let me know. I appreciate that. And okay, well, we're just gonna keep on going. You ready?
Yeah, I'm reading a question from Matt. It says, "Thanks for the great first session. After last part of the talk, I was very inspired by the conversation about practice structure. So, any clarity on how to most effectively evaluate your own and students? I'm a private teacher. Goals and practice plans would be amazing. I found last part about not overlapping really helpful. I personally sometimes feel I work well being incredibly focused on one thing for extended time of length, but I have to develop. It's hard to balance that and get the results that I like, if you know what I mean. I also sometimes worry about overwhelming or underwhelming some of my students when setting goals and planning practice. Thanks for all you do, Eric. Eric, see you soon. All right, so this is a question from Matt regarding what is the best way to evaluate effectively clarity on let's number this effectively evaluate your own and your students with goals and practice planning. Yeah, maybe I found out part. Okay, what the other questions? Underwhelming, overwhelm. Okay, so here's one thing that I was just thinking about today, and ties in with your question is the difference between Berkeley or college, right? A good college and just online courses and stuff like that is a lot of a lot of stuff that we do at Berkeley to give clarity, right? Like you're saying, what is the best way to effective evaluate the students? Everybody has a different philosophy, but the philosophy that we use at Berkeley is that, especially with young students meaning 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, and even some adults, is that freedom, freedom sometimes, if you're not mature enough, it leads to chaos. I give you an example of that, right? I just got the first copy of the Hand and Foot Part 2, which is, I'm going to mention this is because it's related to what you're talking about, right? This course is really the seeds, the foundation of this was given to me in the late 80s when Dave Weckl, I'm sure you all know who he is, came to Berkeley. He just got the gig with Chick Corea Electric Band, and 3 years later he came to Berkeley for a clinic, and that was the first clinic that I saw anyone talking about how to develop the skills to do fills and solos and improvisation from the perspective of not being licks and little phrases that is prearranged, being on the moment. And I think that foundation was excellent. The problem was, although the master, I think this was 1989 or 88, the master class was great, and he mentions a couple examples, but there was not a lot of foundational handouts for us to take home. So one of my teachers, Dave Haggard, who is an ensemble development teacher, he still is there, excuse me, he attended the clinic and he made some notes, and he gave me the sheet that it said the Dave Weckl solo cells, and there was some hand combinations, but there was a lot of freedom. So years later, I tried to use that with my students, and was really chaotic, right? So let's put that story, let's put a pin on that now. Hold on to that story, right? So we have an amazing concept, but there was so much freedom that I never went anywhere with it because I got bored and distracted, which is another topic we talked about, being focused, right? What's the best way to be focused and to gauge and measure ourselves to success, right? So I never developed it because it was too open. I got bored and distracted. Plus, there was like a couple of exercises. I didn't know how much time to spend on each. So it was really bad. So then I tried to show that to students, and that was bad too. Everybody was just too open and not organized. And I was not a teacher at Berkeley at the time, although I taught sub, but this is way back. I was a student. So years later, I have a school, the Percussion Institute of Colorado, and in Colorado Springs, and there was a class that I taught that, which was the rudiments, right? We had 4 levels of rudiments, the 26 American rudiments, like I learned with Alan Dawson, and the Swiss rudiments, the innovations and the shop builders. And then level 5 of the rudiments was the learning the Alan Dawson rudimental ritual, and I made my students play with sticks and brushes, right? So that was the beginning of the rudiments. But then I remember saying to the students, okay, let's work on a phrase and let's orchestrate a few rudiments all over the kit. And they would come in a week after that, and again, was chaotic. There was no organization. So I created something called geometric phrasing, which is on my hand technique book, which is 9 positions that they had to do it. So now I created a tangible, clear, tangible, and measurable task for them to do that, which at Berkeley, as a course designer, one thing that I need to keep in mind is like you have to be able to grade your students, and the homework needs to be tangible, very clear, and measurable, right? So that brought focus. So once I saw the results with the students with a particular task, then it's easier to keep focus because, you can do that as a teacher. And we should do a seminar about how to be a better teacher and about teaching techniques. But basically, you want to include time, how long it takes to do the exercise at different tempos, right? You also need to do things that are measurable and tangible. So some of the exercises here, they have a form, right? They repeat a certain times, and you have a certain tempos. And one thing that I do that, people talk about the art of practice and all that, but it's really, you have to be efficient. So what I tend to do is I time things that I know I'm going to do every day. For instance, I know for a fact that it takes me about 1 hour to warm up my hands. If I do it correctly, it's about an hour because I work on my singles, on my double strokes, on my ditto combinations. I work on accents and rebounds. I work on finger control. I work on mold technique and combinations and a little bit of improvisation with my hands. I try to do that every day. So I know that in order to do that, it's going to take an hour because I timed it, right? And for each exercise, I know, for instance, I get my phone and I get my, my time watch, and I time how long it takes to do that. So if you're doing the exercise from this book, right, the course that you're doing right now, I would suggest you time how long it takes to do the page at the tempo that you're comfortable, okay? Because once you assess, you gotta do a couple of sessions just to plan what you're gonna practice. And the best way to do that, there is nothing that substitute studying privately with a teacher. Okay, you can take some Skype lessons with me, and I'm advised at Berkeley. It takes about an hour to get somebody's schedule going with students because you know, I'll ask them questions, and I talked about that in a second. But anyway, so you and your students, right? I would start with this. What are some of the things that you must have in order to play whatever you want to play, right? In my opinion, for myself, right? I'm a performer and a teacher, right? So what do I need to do every day to keep my my abilities, just to maintain? So I need hand technique no matter what. I don't care if you're a jazz drummer, rock drummer, funk, fusion, teacher, student. If your hands are not working, nothing's going to work, right? So hand is paramount for me. So I have to work on my hands. I do work on my hand and foot combinations because I need my feet to be in order. I don't use my feet as much as I use my hands. I try to work with my feet as much as I work with my hand, but I really don't don't play with my feet as much as I play with my hands, right? Another thing that I gotta do, and I teach all my students, regardless of their goals, is coordination, right? So hand technique, hand and foot technique, and coordination. What I mean by that, it's what are we working on here, right? And we divide at Berkeley, and in the way I teach at Berkeley is I divide coordination in four larger groups. Okay, I divide the coordination into jazz coordination, which is the foundation of this instrument, and then pop rock coordination, which is, be able to play 8-note groove, 16-note groove, shuffles, country, New Orleans, and have the coordination with that in the grooves. Brazilian coordination and Afro-Cuban coordination, because those styles, for instance, when you play jazz, right, you have to understand the function of the voices of the drums. Like when you're playing jazz, your leading voice, the accompanying voice is the right cymbal, right? So in pop rock, it is not the right cymbal, it's the backbeat, right? And the bass drum will be there. You can do a rock gig without a right and a hi-hat, right? It's the backbeat and the bass drum. See how that changed the function? If you're playing Brazilian music, if you're playing sambas, for instance, you're really driving with your bass drum. It's not the right cymbal like the jazz. It's not the snare drum like pop and rock. It's the bass drum. Boom, 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 boom. That has to be in order, right? So you have to be able to coordinate the hands so it's in sync with that. Does it make sense? So each style is going to provide you with a different type of coordination issue that you need to address. So hand technique, I would suggest you do daily. Foot technique and hand and foot combinations. Stylistic coordination, I put on a rotation, right? I can't practice all that every day. So I'm on a 3-4 day rotation, and sometimes I'm on a week rotation, right? For certain things. So that's one thing that you can do. The other thing is when you give homework to students, make sure something tangible, right? And another very, very important thing is how much time you have to budget, right? So if I have a student and let's say they have 1 hour a day, they're going to practice. If they practice Saturday, they're going to have 6 hours a week. I have to have that information first and get together with them and do a little session and recommend a practice routine that's going to take an hour. So if you have an hour, it depends who the student is, right? Because every student is on a different level and they're going to require different things. But let's say an hour of a student that just finished high school and his first semester at Berkeley is going to probably be doing 15 minutes of hands, 15 minutes of hand and foot, 15 minutes of reading, and then the other 15 minutes is going to be playing with tunes. I try to play with songs every day. So, and then I'll give you assignments. I'm working right now on the drum set coach practice planner. And I don't know if some of you already have that, but on the practice planner, I wish I had my laptop here. Is exactly what I use at Berkeley. So the assignment says hand technique, snare reading. It's already printed out, and I just mark the area that they're working on. But it's gonna be up soon. So I know it's a long answer, but I hope that answer your question. But the best thing to do is book a couple of Skype lessons with me live, and we can talk about you, and your needs. And with this course here, I don't know if we're gonna figure out. It would be nice if we could post your videos here.
Yeah, you can. You can do that.
Of you doing homework, because the best thing about those live sessions, guys, is that I can give you feedback. That's gold. I can see you playing and comment on how you're doing. So I don't know how they can post their homework in here.
On the either the coaching sessions or not the coaching set, the TDSC community, there's a button there to post a video.
All right, let's try that.
Yeah.
Try to post a homework there.
See what happens.
Matt, let's do a couple of Skype lessons, and I can budget your time. You can, if you see the little schedule that I put on the back here, the first thing you're gonna do is give me how many, you have to make a copy of the schedule and say, okay, for instance, on my case right now, Mondays, I could practice from 6 to about 10 or 11. I can pretty much do that every day until Saturday for a few weeks now, right? And that's what I'm doing because I'm practicing to record this guy this coming weekend, right? But it varies, so that's why Eric is actually teaching me how to get on my schedule every morning and every night, and a big session on Sundays, planning the whole week. And I'm using this Action Day planner right here, and I've been using this same one for years. Every year I buy mine. About September I'll be purchasing the 2021, and I have everything set up here. And like today, I know that I'm gonna go live. I already practiced, and then I'm gonna be with my boys probably until the end of the afternoon, take them to karate, and do stuff like that. But anyway, so let's go to the other question. The other question is from Caveman. Hi, Eric and Henrique. For multiple hi-hat foot strokes with the left foot, do you suggest any specific technique? Could you show us some examples? Thanks. Okay, this is really gonna come in towards the end of the course, but what I do with that is I don't know. Yeah, you can see my foot, right? So for multiple hi-hat strokes, I always like to use, I don't know how this is gonna sound on the video, but
Oh, let me put my headphones on.
I use the heel up, So definitely heel up, because I actually like to play my hi-hat with heel up all the time because I got a nice chick as opposed to, now if I'm playing brushes, which I don't know where they are now, but then I can go, then I use that, or if I need to go like which is more like a heel toe technique. But basically, heel up for me is the way to go, You know what I mean? So heel up is a technique that I use for that. We have another question from Lauren. Sorry I cannot be live with you today, but I will see the video later. I have a question concerning the double development on page 4. Do you play the accents on the snare always on the same place? For example, when I play line 2 and line 4, I don't play any accents on the snare. Or is this important to play accents exactly like you did? Thank you very much for support. The course is really great. Looking forward to part 2. Okay, let's take a look at that. Uh, Double development on page 4. I try, you're talking about, do you play accents on the same place? For example, when I play line 2, line 4, I don't play any accents. I try to play this as close as possible like I would on a gig, right? So, I guess I guess I'm trying to play the first note with the rim shot. You know what I mean? But I think when I play line 3, for instance, the broken doubles, I tend to accent the second one. Right? So this is line 3. Because that helps me when I play funk grooves, right? If I play softer ghost notes, I don't accent. I'm gonna just play them here. But if it's with a backbeat, yeah. So that's what I do. I try to accent, like when I do the singles, I try to accent 2 and 4, right? But sometimes I don't accent. Sometimes, and it depends what I'm doing. Depends, I guess. But yeah, you can change the accents. You know, the only thing I say is have a plan, understand what you're doing, and try to have control. So there is no wrong way of doing, but decide what you're gonna do. Even if it's your decision is, you know what, I'm gonna play accents randomly. That's a decision that you make. So uh, you can play any way you want, but it would be nice for you to sound the way you sound. Does it make sense? That you have the control to decide how you're sounding. So if you decided to accent on 2 and 4, try to do that. If you don't want accent in 2 and 4, understanding what you're doing is also important. Okay? So that's this question. I think that was it. 3 questions, right?
Yeah.
Any more questions in there?
I don't have anything.
Okay. So if you guys don't have any more questions, let's talk about what's coming next, right? So, so today we're going to start the pop rock coordination, right? And those those pages, page 8 and 9, I use that so much to everything. And we're going to start very simple with 8 note grooves on the hi-hat in the right cymbal. This is a good one. This is like if you have a young student or yourself and you want to, these exercises serve different purposes. It's good for understanding the 16-note variations. It's good to create grooves. Is a right foot workout for sure. And you could use this also to put on your hi-hat or right cymbal. You can use those permutations here. Why not, right? But basically, we're gonna do this week 8-note grooves and read this with the bass drum, then put on the right cymbal and work with your left foot. I know that a lot of my students, especially rock drummers, when they go to the right cymbal, they have no idea what to do with this. So you're gonna write it down. A couple of options would be just play 2 and 4, right? When you're going, you'll be playing 2 and 4. You also can play quarter notes. You can switch the 2 and 4. You can switch quarter notes. You can play on the upbeat, which I actually like a lot to play the upbeats. Gives a lot of people problems. I love it. Which is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and, right? So then we're gonna do exactly that. We're gonna read these things, but instead of a backbeat, we're gonna read it ghosted notes, which gives people problems sometimes. So you gotta be able to. Let's say that I read the first 4. Now watch what I'm gonna do with the snare, right? The same thing, but it's snare, hi-hat combinations, this is gonna become so it sounds a little bit different, right? So then we're gonna try to do the same type of thing with the next page this week, which is 11 triplet permutations, right? So we're gonna play that with the shuffle on the foot. That's page 9. We're gonna do that with the halftime shuffle. Gotta go soon, but so this is page 9 with the halftime shuffle. The first line, line 1 of page 9. You know what I mean? And we're gonna do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So on and so on and so on. And that's also, we'll do a simpler snare drum first. But the more advanced one is. And this is also not course, that's the rock pop course that's going to be up in the fall. But anyway, if you guys don't have any more questions, welcome to this part 2 here. Pop rock coordination in duple field and triple field. Let me get my list, this lesson plan. Yeah, we're gonna do week 5 and 6, 7, 8, right? Which is you go to the book, the third page. We're gonna be doing this, and then if you go in the back on the lesson plan, it explains what this, how you're gonna do it, right? But basically, we're gonna do 8. So go to page 18, and that's your homework assignment, right? You have uh, week 5, 8 notes, pop, rock, hi hat, and bass drum. 8-note pop, rock, hi hat, and bass drum with snare ghost notes. Then 8-note pop rock on the right cymbal. Then 8-note pop rock with the snare ghost notes. Reading varied textbooks. I'm going to talk about that on the lesson. And then next week you should start the pop rock with duple fill, or you can do alternate. Do later today, page 8, and then tomorrow do page 9, right? And then the next day to page 8, and start working in parallel. Okay. This is awesome. I practiced this today, and I just got these right here, and I've been working on this today on part 2, and this is a killer. It's really fun to play, and so by the time I record this weekend, the pages will be right this time. All right, guys, you're here. This is what's coming. It's coming. It's coming. The train's moving. So talk soon. Have a great week, and enjoy the lessons.